In the year 2020 the world will collapse due to some beasts which killed almost all humans and animals are. Creatures are blind but have one ear. Highly developed and are capable of listen to the slightest movement. So the few people left with life they have to live in full silence today. In movie summary, we will see A Quiet Place. It's been over a year since it all started. A Bud family lives in an old house of field where each member has their homework. You can see that Mother Evelyn is building a soundproof box connected to an oxygen tank. It seems to be a cradle for a baby. Meanwhile her father tries communicate with other survivors by radio and the Reagan brothers and Marcos. They paste newsprint on the walls of the house to isolate it. At night everyone eats in silence. Food they grew themselves. The boys start playing a game table in an oversight. Marcus hits the kerosene lamp making pretty noise, although the creatures seem not have heard it. The next day the mother measures her blood pressure and writes it down on a calendar. There you can see there is a date special marked in red which indicates the day of delivery. Later while the boy studies mathematics and tells him that it's time to go hiking, your father wants to teach Marcus how survive in this world so that when he and his mother both grow old, brothers can take care of them. Reagan wants to go on the field trip too, but his father asks him to stay in house helping his mom Lee and Marcus. They go to a nearby stream where they have a fish trap. His father catches one and then explains that in the places where there is a lot of noise, they can talk since the noise of the environment masks the sounds they do. To prove it they go to a waterfall and they start screaming. But nothing happens since the sound of the falling water is much stronger than the of his own screams. Reagan feels guilty for the death of his brother Small and believes that this is why his father excludes him and does not want her. Then she, who is deaf and dumb, changes her sound amplifier for one more powerful, and she decides to go to her grave to remember. It turns out a year ago, about the whole family, I was in a store looking for supplies when her brother little boy was grabbed by a spaceship toy. Her father had taken it from her since he toy could make noise and attract the beasts, but Reagan decided return it without permission. Unfortunately, as they walked home the boy it happened to turn on the ship music. What strongly marked her sister. In the waterfall, Marcos asks his father if he loves Reagan and if he guilt for the death of his brother. Small also tells him that she feels really bad and that she thinks her father does not love her for what she did. Meanwhile the mother finishes washing her clothes and puts them in a bag to go to take care of her. When going up the stairs the sack gets stuck with a nail in a step and the mother pulls it. By doing that the nail is straight with its point. Upon the excursion the father and his son find a house, and by following the way, an old man appears out of nowhere and begins to scream, and Marcus runs out and hide behind a tree while the creatures devour the Lord. Back in the house the mother breaks bag of way premature and there is no one to help her. She goes downstairs to activate a light alarm with which to notify your family that something is happening, but in that moment she steps on the nail that was stayed straight. The woman screams, but she endures the pain and will activate the alarm when trying to return from a creature is inside the house. Evelyn action to one timer to the other side of the room and hides the beast. Goes down to her room, and when the timer sound she takes advantage of the noise to escape. At that time his father and son arrive at the farm and realize by the lights that something goes wrong and asks the boy to go to light some fireworks had previously prepared for make noise and drive away the creatures. In that moment we see that Evelyn is in a bathtub giving birth to the fires. Fireworks explode in the distance and Riga. She sees them, so she goes back to the house. Run and carefully enter the house. And she sees that the bathtub is full of blood. But there is no one. Moments later she finds his wife and the baby in the shower. The father carries Evelyn and the baby until the basement, which is very good soundproof. There he puts a respirator the child and locks him in the crib too. Don't let the monsters hear it. When you return to the Marco house, you hear a noise and starts running between the plants until he collides with a tractor. What makes the girl faint? She also returned to the house. She sees the light of the flashlight and she hangs out with her brother and she leaves the basement in search of her children, and you can see that a pipe broke. That is filling the house with water little by little. Little by little Evelyn wakes up in the basement and notices that everything is flooding. She manages to see that there is one of the creatures in the same room. That he decides to go in search of his baby. Marcus and Reagan are on top of a silo waiting for someone to come by them. Her sister tells him that since she didn't want, no one is going to come looking for her, and suddenly the silo breaks and the boy falls inside, making a lot of noise. The beast that he was with his mother is heading towards there, and his sister also throws herself to try to help him. Marcus manages to grab to a sheet of metal and looking for his sister sees that she is sinking into the corn. The girl is completely submerged. But her brother manages to help her. Extending her arms suddenly once, who enters the silo and the boys cover themselves with the piece of metal when the creature sound amplifier is coming from. Reagan makes a very loud and high-pitched noise, which annoys the monster, causing the boys manage to get out of the silo. And they are reunited with their father suddenly. And hears a noise and tells the guys hide in the van. Old. He grabs an axe from a shed, but one of the creatures was waiting for him on the roof, which attacks him strongly. His son desperately screams what he does. Let the beast run towards them and hit the van, trying to kill them. Reagan amp blasts again strongly, so she turns it off and gets up very hurt and tells his daughter of her that no matter what she thinks, that he has always loved her. Then she screams loudly. Music. Getting the beast to leave his sons and go to him. Evelyn, that I had seen everything through the cameras. Listen. That his children are heading home. In the van the three embrace and they mourn the death of Law, but listen to the roar of one of the beasts, so they enter the house. The boy holds the baby while Evelyn and his daughter cry until they feel the presence of one of the beasts, the lower creature, and the mother. The beast points the shotgun at him, annoyed by the interference of a TV next to her, so the destroys. Because of this, Reagan is given account that her amplifier began to ring loudly from interference that was generated when the beast approached. She decides to turn it on again, and quickly you can see the beast trembling with pain, listening again the sharp sound of the apparatus. Moments later she approaches the amplifier to a microphone which reproduce this sound with much more force, making the beast fall unconscious. Seconds later the beast rises and tries to attack them, but Evelyn manages shoot him in the head, causing fall lifeless. The loud sound of shot makes other creatures nearby are moving quickly towards There so Reagan turn up the volume of the microphone and Eveline loads the shotgun waiting to grapple with. They remember to leave your like that. It helps a lot to the channel. Subscribe and activate notifications to see more videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you next.